generally it keeps more harmony within society. Generally. Where you create less jealousy with people because you're sleeping with less other people's partners. That's one. So it creates less jealousy, less conflict, less fighting, less beating, maybe even less killing and violence. Because sex to people is very intimate, and it's an expression of how much they are worth to the other person. That's wrong, but that's how sex is valued or measured. So if you are someone that gets a lot of sex, or easy to get sex, or sexually attractive, you're probably someone that's very valuable, worth it. That is the misconception. Alright? That's why some people, when they're younger, they didn't get a lot of affection. When they grow up, they become very promiscuous. Why? It's not the sex that they're after. They're actually after the affection to feel that they're worth something. So someone actually remove their clothes and do something so intimate with you, it gives you a kind of feeling that I am worth something, which is a misconception. I mean, that's one way, that's not the only view. So when we have sex with a lot of partners, and we do it with a lot of people, what happens is you make your partner feel like they're not worth it. You make your partner feel like they're not good enough for you. You make your partner feel like they're not fulfilling you, and that's very hurtful. So when people are in pain, they react differently. Some become violent. Some remain silent. Some separate. Some talk about it. Some choose to ignore it. So many people deal with it differently. So therefore, to avoid more conflict and jealousy and violence and problems and maybe domestic difficulties, then a lot of societies restrict that and say, don't. And then later on, when established religions came, they used religion as a way to stop that. Why? Religion is above man. It's above women. It is something that is ultimate. You see, if you say that the big lao ban or the big boss is going to get you, the boss might die, you can get him or you can shoot him and you'll be gone. But if you say God's going to get you, that's kind of like way beyond any of us. So that's something that you can use to threaten people or make people conform. What is it actually conforming? To not getting hurt. Okay, that's one. The second thing is disease control. If we have multiple partners all the time, I think a long time ago people already knew that disease, VD, will be rampant. A lot of European societies are very, especially among the royalty, VD was very, very rampant. Some of the Chinese kings died of VD, suffered their whole life. Why? Because of promiscuity. So another reason is that. The third reason is honor. If your wife belongs to you, I mean, let's just use that example there. It's just many variations. And she's with somebody else, you lose honor. Because your wife, wrongly, they consider it your property. So it's your property, how can another person use your property? So therefore, in many ancient societies, women have a stronger stigma for them to, in inverted commas, sleep around because they're considered men's property. Whereas men have the freedom to sleep around because they're not considered property, they're considered people. Or women will consider sub-people, subhuman, more properties. Like in Mongolian thinking, women are not people, they're properties of men. Property. So in ancient times, if your best friend came over, you offered your food, your house, and your wife. And there was no jealousy because they believed in them. Because why? Why would you be jealous of a property? Why would you be jealous of a cow, or a woman, or a bed? It's something just to be used by your friend. And that's how Mongolian society thought in the past. That is wrong. But that doesn't take away the fact of how human thought and sociological thinking evolved. So like that, women were property. Therefore, in every society, it is something to be covered. It is something to be hidden. It is something not to be shared. It is not something to be shown to others, to be used by others. Why? It is an insult on you for your property to be used by another person. So, promiscuity was something more of pride, property, and an ego trip. Look, I'm not good enough. That's why you're sleeping around. I'm not good enough. You demand somebody else. And even today, the people who can walk into the club and just pick up who they want, walk down the street and pick up who they want, we admire them. If we didn't, we wouldn't have supermodels. we wouldn't have all these plastic surgeries. We wouldn't have all these exercises and procedures and Jane Fonda. We wouldn't have all that. Why? Because that evokes sexual attraction. So therefore, right or wrong is not the issue in your question, in my answer to your question. It is sociological development. And what is that? Right or wrong is not the issue again. That's how it developed. So in Buddhism, you don't look at women as property. You don't look at the sexual act as negative or positive. The sexual act is something like eating. It's something like sleeping. It's something like gluttony. It's like something like material attachment to shopping or something. Why? All of those indulge in your particular facet or manifestation of ego. Some of us manifest our ego in eating a lot. Some of us manifest it in wealth and having a lot of cars. Some of us manifest it in jewelry. Some of it manifest it in face, in position. I want to look good. I want people to know what's happening with me. People manifest their ego in many, many ways. Some manifest it in sexual promiscuity, but it's just a manifestation of the ego. So what happens is in Buddhism, they don't look at the sexual act as the actual negative act. What they look at is the motivation and the result. So if you're having sex with a lot of people and it hurts, then it's looked down on. If you're having sex with a lot of people and it's consenting and it doesn't hurt anybody, it's just as bad as eating. Just as bad as eating. So the point is this, is that in a lot of societies in the past, it was a way to control their sexual partner, mostly women. Because if you look at the rules of promiscuity, East and West, it applies to women. Right? Even today, when women here say, oh, I have a toy boy, they still go, oh. But they say, I have a mistress, says, wow, you must be successful. Wow. Why is that? Even today. Why is that? Why is it that men get the freedom and women don't? What's the difference? Why? It's unfair. It's incorrect. And Buddhism is against that. Totally. So my point is what is? That's why sexuality in Buddhism, gay, straight, lesbian, in between, doesn't make a difference. Why? What you have sex with, how you have sex with, is not a really big issue. It is beforehand. Why? Desire is desire. Desire is desire. So therefore, it's not a very big issue that's harped upon. It's more before and after, like everything else that Buddhism focuses on. I mean, hypothetically, you can collect more negative karma eating too much food than having sex. Yeah. Why? If you're a glutton and you eat yourself to death, and you become a burden to others, and you become very sick, and you don't take care of yourself, it's very bad. Because you damage people around you. You know, so hypothetically, it can be like that. So my point is that that's why in Buddhism you have this middle way, where sexuality is not a big deal. So in the East, what makes it a big deal is Eastern culture, not Buddhism. So since Buddhism is enmeshed with Eastern culture, because in the West they're like East, Buddha is enmeshed, culture and religion kind of got mixed up together. It became kind of synonymous. But you have to understand, these thoughts or these sexual norms and rules and do's and don'ts is not from Buddhism. It is from Eastern culture. Does that make any sense? So you have to separate it from Buddhism. And I think Trikun Trungpa gave a wonderful message to everybody. Wonderful message. I'm not at this level that I can do what he does, but I also don't look down on him because I look at all the other aspects of his life. Now, if you ask me to explain why he has multiple partners, I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain everything. But everything else he does benefits so many people. So I would assume that his sexual partners or his sexual acts somehow has some benefit, which I can't understand. You see, in the East, the minute you say sex, it's bad. The minute, even the word, people don't talk about it. You don't hear anybody around here saying sex except for you. Nobody. Nobody talks about it. Why? It's a big no-no. It really is a big no-no. Say it's sex. See, it's not easy, right? It's not bad, it's not easy. Like Yeki, if you tell her, say that, she's out of here. Next year should be different. She'll be running around wearing sex shirts. So what's my point? My point is that's more Eastern culture. It's more Eastern culture. And Eastern culture is more conservative than Western culture, but we're catching up. Materialism exposure will make you catch up. It's not good or bad. There are benefits, disbenefits of both. I'm not being diplomatic, I really believe that. So what happens is, sex is a measure of control. And putting down rules, and it's bad, you'll be stoned, you're a bad woman, it's all control. That's how I see it. I could be wrong. What other explanation would you think? Why is the men can and the women cannot? Because in Tibet, it's the opposite. You guys already know Tibetan situation. Women have total freedom. Totally the opposite. And it's a Buddhist society. So I think Buddhism is quite revolutionary for human race. Einstein, I quote Einstein said that it will be the religion of the future because it's universal. That was his thought. That was way in the 30s and 40s.